Back in the day, when I lived on South Beach in the 1990s, the LGBTQ folks used to have a name for the Sunday afternoon tea dances where we would all basically be naked, dance with strangers, get drunk or high or just happy, and go home with a different person every time. We called it church. I think that was actually the most accurate description for it. There was ritual, there were offerings, the DJs were preachers, bartenders were handling communion, and we all wore our Sunday best, Speedos and short shorts. But even beyond the show of it, it really was our church. It was where we were affirmed and where we could bring our full selves. If we were depressed, we could bring that there and find solace. If we were joyful, we found people to be joyful with. We got the latest information, and when there was a crisis of some kind, you can be sure we were all there together. It was church. When I think of the churches that I grew up with, they were never quite that much fun, and I certainly never felt like I could just be myself. But I know people who had a different experience growing up in church, where it was just like Sunday Miami Beach tea dance for them. It was a place that felt like home, where everyone knew them, and there was trust and history, mourning and celebration. It was an extension of the most intimate pieces of their community. It was their family. It was church. And this was very true for the South Beach Club kids as well. We knew each other. We all knew who was bartending, who was stripping, and who was turning tricks. And none of us judged each other. Pretty much everyone had started their Miami Beach journey on a vacation that got extended, some by years, and we all had a story to tell. The LGBTQ community, and honestly the T was not as visible as it should have been at that time, was tightly knit. Once you had run out of money and quit your job at home, moved out of your vacation hotel into someone's spare room, and once you had gotten work as a barback twice a week at that one really seedy club, you were part of the community. You were family. Family. Gay men and lesbians have used this term for a long time as a kind of code so that we could identify each other in public places where it was once illegal to do so. I first heard the expression of being family, is she family, spoken about someone male identified, from drag queens in New York City. It was a peculiar thing because you were immediately welcomed into the family because we had all in some way been pushed out of our biological ones. Humans need family, so we found each other. Being the 1990s, this family was incredibly important. I remember several of us taking care of one of our friends as his boyfriend was dying of AIDS. Meals, rides to the doctor, taking shifts of just being there, letting our friend scream his rage. Family. And we were protective. If someone new on the scene was trying to hit you up and they seemed shady, the family would ask you, "Are you sure about that one?" I got that talk several times, having a knack for being asked out on dates by straight married men with bad motives. They made sure I wasn't taken advantage of. I was even lucky enough at one point for two of my families to intersect when a dear friend of mine moved down to South Beach from New York City. It was like old home week. As we celebrate the end of Pride Month, as we reel from the whiplash of stupid executive orders and sensational Supreme Court decisions, as our sexuality continues to be on public trial at the same time that some of us are experiencing our racial identities on public trial as well, it would do us well to consider LGBTQ family. Not for the cliches or the camp, but for the reality of what it means for survival. So many of us have chosen family because our birth families have unchosen us. And even if we have good relationships with our birth families, there is something else about our queer family that we can't describe. It's a level of trust and of knowing, of experience that's like nothing else. It's a transcendent, unconditional love. It's a lesson for everyone in family. And so, my question to First Parish in Cambridge is, are we family? Do we have a connection that can survive the test of different times and kinds of relationships? Do we rely on each other when there is no one else? Do we seek each other out because we know each other through shared parallel experience? What does it mean to say First Parish in Cambridge family? It's difficult for us. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we don't have many tools to point us in the direction of family. Now, I'm thrilled that the racial equity team is taking up the challenge to explore the eighth principle, and I believe deeply in it, and I think it is necessary and it should be adopted. But really, all of the principles read more like a policy platform than a spiritual invitation. Our history as Unitarian Universalists, both of the Church and the denomination, is told through governance and architecture and leadership. Our most celebrated achievements concern civics, which isn't bad, but it's not very warm and fuzzy. What's more, on a personal basis, our needs are all so different, our backgrounds are different, and we are all headed to different places. We are also very keen to make sure that everyone knows we are smart and engaged, but completely independent, self-guided, purposeful beings who will make a difference. Oh my, how I wish our principles spoke about love. I think we're living in a moment when First Parish in Cambridge must find a way to hold itself like family. Facing the daunting task of physically distant church and meetings and action, I don't see any reason why we can't figure out ways to show each other we love one another in all of our independence and difference and purposefulness. We shouldn't need memorials or deaths to come together and shed tears. I'm going to begin my vacation shortly, and this will be my last recorded message before my time off begins. My hope, my prayer, is that each and every person in this community will be as safe as they can possibly be. That you will all take your time through this period of unrest by listening, learning, exploring your place in all of it, and being ready to show up however that needs to manifest. And mostly, my prayer is that you will consider this question: how is First Parish in Cambridge a family? And if it is not, or if that is not your experience of it, how can we make it that? How can we be more like the club kids in South Beach, who find each other and learn to love each other in an instant because they know they need each other to survive? Don't just celebrate Pride this year. Become part of Pride by learning something about your own world, whether it is LGBTQ or not. Find the family at First Parish in Cambridge. Happy Pride, and see you all in August.
Olive. Hey, Olive. Look up here. Woohoo!